I never thought I'd be writing about my marriage imploding in such a bizarre and public way, but here we are. My wife Sarah and I were married for 8 years. I'm 35, a software engineering manager, and she's 33, a former personal trainer. We met when I joined her CrossFit gym, and she was the charismatic, motivating trainer who seemed to make everyone feel special, me especially. Our relationship started out strong. We bonded over our shared love of fitness, traveling, and dreaming about a future filled with adventure. Fast forward a few years, and we had built a life together. A beautiful home that Sarah took pride in decorating, plans to travel the world, and what I thought was a stable marriage. But over the past year, things started to change. My job requires frequent travel, sometimes for weeks at a time, and while Sarah used to support me wholeheartedly, I began noticing subtle shifts. She grew distant, her attention glued to her phone during meals. Conversations felt forced, and she started asking specific questions about my travel schedule, things she never used to care about. The tipping point came during a business trip to London. It was late at night when I received a Ring doorbell alert. Normally, these notifications are routine, but this time, I saw two strangers wheeling suitcases into our house. Confused, I called Sarah, but she didn't answer. Instead, she texted me hours later saying, "Oh, those are my cousins. They're just visiting for a few days." I wanted to believe her, but something didn't sit right. Her cousins didn't match the faces I knew, and the explanation felt too casual. Over the next few trips, I noticed a pattern. Ring alerts showing different groups of people entering and leaving the house. The final straw came when I searched Airbnb on a hunch, and there it was. Our home, listed as a cozy getaway, complete with glowing descriptions of the renovations Sarah and I had poured our hearts into. There were even photos of our bedroom, our living room, and the backyard, every inch of our private space, turned into a marketing pitch for strangers. The listing hit me like a punch to the gut. I felt violated, angry, and completely blindsided. But what came next was worse. I decided to dig deeper, and what I uncovered shook me to my core. Sarah wasn't just using Airbnb to rent out our home while I was away. She had quit her job at the gym months ago and was living in our house with her trainer-turned-boyfriend while I was traveling. She'd effectively turned our home into a side hustle to fund her new life with him. When I returned from London, I played it cool. I didn't confront her right away. Instead, I started gathering evidence. Screenshots of the Airbnb listing, Ring footage of guests coming and going, and even bank statements showing payouts from Airbnb to her account. I wanted to make sure I had everything lined up before confronting her. Then came the moment of truth. I invited Sarah's entire family over for what I described as a family meeting. Once everyone was seated, I calmly presented my findings, starting with the Airbnb listing and ending with the private investigator's report on her new boyfriend. The room was dead silent as I laid out the details. Sarah walked in mid-presentation, her face a mix of confusion and horror. "What's going on?" she asked, trying to play innocent. "What's going on," I replied, "is that you turned our home into an Airbnb and moved in with your boyfriend while I was working to support us." Her family was livid. Her mom started crying, her dad looked like he was ready to explode, and her siblings couldn't even make eye contact with her. Sarah tried to explain herself, but her excuses were weak. "It wasn't like that," she said. "You're always gone, and I didn't know how else to feel alive." The fallout was swift. I filed for divorce the next day. Sarah's boyfriend, as it turned out, wasn't exactly Prince Charming. He'd been using the Airbnb income to cover his gambling debts and had another family, a wife and kids, in another state. When Sarah found out, he dumped her, leaving her to pick up the pieces. She moved in with her parents after the divorce, while I began the process of reclaiming my life. My company allowed me to work remotely for a while, which gave me the freedom to sort through the mess. As for the house, I've considered renting it out legally, no secrets this time. But for now, I'm focusing on rebuilding. This whole experience has been a harsh reminder that trust, once broken, is nearly impossible to repair. But it's also shown me that I'm stronger than I thought. Betrayal may have brought me to this point, but it won't define where I go next.